Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, there's a bit of confusion about the new Star Trek films. They're talking about doing two films. Now, one is Star Trek 4, which will be the conclusion of the J.J. Abrams sort of era. They should have just left it with the trilogy after Anton Yelchin passed. I didn't really think they should continue on. And each film just promises a Star Trek adventure, does primarily Earth-based action adventure, doesn't really do a Star Trek story or adventure really. And then at the end says, oh, we've realised what we should be doing and now we're going to go and boldly explore in the next film, and they never do. So they should just leave that where it is. But apparently they're going to come back, they're going to send off that crew with one last film, one last story, and then they're going to do a reboot of an origin story. And this, at first, they talked about it like it was going to be set a few years before the other J.J. Abrams era. So basically before Kirk. So it would have been an April adventure. The talk was it was going to be sort of the launching of the Enterprise, which was 5-10 years or so before Pike took the Enterprise and Captain April had it. So that would have been okay. It would have been far enough back that it's not going to bump into any canon issues, but close enough that it's still going to basically be like Strange New Worlds and be in that sort of Kirk era, or the reimagined alternative timeline, alternative universe, J.J. Abrams, Discovery, whichever one of those locations from the Star Trek multiverse you want to pick. It would have been okay. I think it could have worked. But now more has come out and it's sounding a little bit iffy. It's going to be mostly centered on Earth, and they're also talking about doing this film first, releasing this film first, and then doing Star Trek 4. Why wouldn't you end off the last lot of films and then do the reboot afterwards? Like, we're just rounding this off. All the people who like this, here's your goodbye, and now we go in this direction. No, they're going to do the Origins one and then jump back into the fourth film. This is a mess. These people don't know what they're doing. They never do. But yeah, so there's an article in the Hollywood Reporter, and I think they're talking to David Ellison because he's confirmed they plan to do the films. And someone said, because this is on trekmovie.com, I'm not clear where this tidbit came from, but it said it's going to be a prequel focusing on humanity's early contact with aliens and the formation of the Federation. So it's not an Origins Pike movie set 10 years before Discovery and Strange New Worlds. It's going to be set post-Enterprise, the series. And/or director Toby Haynes is attached to direct and script by Seth Grahame-Smith that is rumoured to take place largely on Earth. The studio sees the project as an early entry point for new fans who do not need to know about the decades of canon. So they're basically throwing out canon Star Trek and the universe that people fall in love with for new fans who don't like it, don't care about it, and probably won't get too engaged in it. And they also won't have to keep up with the shows on Paramount Plus. So it's all about these people. It's all about finding a new audience and trying to engage the general audience. The general audience has already decided if they like Star Trek or Star Wars or Doctor Who. You're not going to get them. They don't want to watch Star Trek or Doctor Who or Star Wars. These shows have established audiences and fan bases, and you just have to budget for that. Star Trek is not a blockbuster Marvel film. You don't spend $200 million on it and get $1 billion film out of it. What you do is you spend $200 million, you get a $400 million film, and you lose money. That's what happened with all three Star Trek films by J.J. Abrams. They all lost money because the audience, it's just as a percentage of people who will like Star Trek and not. And it's usually, I think, tied to intelligence and taste, but that might be subjective. But the general audience doesn't like Star Trek. They think they know what it is. It's part of the cultural lexicon and everything, and they think they know what it is, like Doctor Who and Star Wars. You either like it or you don't. You're either open to it or you're not. And they keep doing the same thing. They just did it with Doctor Who, where Disney basically bought it off the BBC, and, well, they took it off the ABC here in Australia, and just thought, we'll put a bunch of money in it, treat it like a new show, call it season 1, bring in new people, and we'll make a lot of money. Well, no, you just got the same fans who are already watching Doctor Who, but you paid a lot more money to produce it with no more profit. So that show's cancelled. That's the rumour, is that they filmed 2 seasons back to back, and it's not going to come back for a 3rd season unless it suddenly gets a boost in ratings and does really well in the 2nd year. So that's the rumour with that. And that Shudi's going to leave because he's not going to sit around waiting to see if they do a 3rd season in a year or so. That they need a commitment now or something. So yeah, so this is already sounding like a bit of a disaster. No other details have been set. And the bit about alien contact and being set in the Federation, and mostly on Earth, it sounds sort of like First Contact, which was a crowd pleaser because you didn't have to be a Star Trek fan to really like it, because so little of it is actually really set in Star Trek. It's mostly on Earth in the past. And there's also talk of, well, how's it going to fit into canon? Because we've already established First Contact and Enterprise, unless it's going to follow Enterprise, because they're saying it's basically going to be the origins of the Prime timeline, the Prime universe, not the J.J. Abrams or Discovery universe, which is the same universe and an alternative time. Or originally they admitted that it was an alternative universe. Then they started saying it was Prime, and they started saying it's a alternate timeline, but alternate timelines only vary a little bit, so it's still basically the same universe and same timeline, but none of what they're saying is making sense. They're just spinning because they don't want to say it's a rebrand, it's a reboot, because they feel like it's going to alienate fans. So then they just make it lie to fans, make it not Star Trek, have the fans not like it, and then tell them that they're wrong. So the way these people are approaching Star Trek, approaching these films, it's just a continuation of the train wreck that we've been watching for the last 7 years or so. So I saw that. I was optimistic at first. I thought, oh, that's cool, just go back, do the launching of the Enterprise, see April to have his first adventure, and if that does well, do a little trilogy of April films. It'll be fine. Won't interfere with Strange New Worlds on TV. It'll be great. No, they're rebooting the Prime universe, which means it's not the Prime universe because it's a different version, and it's going to be mostly Earth-based. So it's going to be some political thriller dealing with aliens and setting up the Federation and that sort of isolationist sort of pushback that they sort of had in Enterprise on Earth in that show. So it's I just can't. I mean, I was actually excited about this. I thought, wow, a Pike movie, seeing the Enterprise being launched, going off into space, having actual Star Trek adventure in space. No, this is going to be another cheap, on Earth, people running around on filming on location, basically Planet Canadian backlot, basically, or just random city, and no space, just politics, space politics, and they're not even doing anything new. It's just like taking all our contemporary issues and putting them on the Federation at the time. They don't have isolationist issues and that in Star Trek. They don't have all the issues we have today that they are determined to explore without using analogy or an alien race, but just putting it all on us and regressing the Federation back to contemporary times and issues. And this was going to be a free 4-minute video, but it's just